Okay, good Tavach, everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming and joining us for the learning of Teres Hashem. So far we do not have a sponsor for Masechta Sanhedrin. We are looking for our first sponsor for Masechta Sanhedrin, 718-916-3100. rmmwsi@aol.com. Interesting, Baba Basa, we had 5 sponsors, and so far we don't have yet one sponsor for Sanhedrin. We want to welcome in, as the Olam is slowly arriving, we want to welcome in Saba and Irving Fishbaum, Michael, Nachman Chapler, Ben-Zion Cohn, Mark Frankel, Stephen Holtzman, Dr. Guy, Menachem Yemansky, Eddie Chazan, Yitzi Fuchs, Shimon Klein, Yisrael Fisher, Mel Zachter, Moshe Lehman, Ilya Shutman, Yitzi Muller, Avram Rezepkowitz, Daniel Rosenberg. Here in the shul, we have the great pleasure of having Berish Gesseman, Michal Avram, Reb Shlomi Yehuda, Ruvain Shanit, and I know that I have a feeling that Reb Halpert is on his way down as well, and David Helfgott is joining us on Kol HaLashon. We are holding on Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, and we're holding 4 lines from the top with Iyahachi. Now, if you remember, we started the Gemara that the Mishnah says Dinei Mamanis Bishleisha, and then it says Gezelos v'Chavolos Bishleisha. So the Gemara asks, well, Gezelos and Chavolos is Dinei Mamanis. So the Gemara says, no, Mohein Ketani. Dinei Mamanis. What is Dinei Mamanis? Gezelos v'Chavolos. Now the Gemara says that, well, if you're telling me that Haidois and Halvais, admissions and loans, also needs 3, so then you don't have to learn it's a Mohain. Ihachi Tarte Ketani. If so, it would be more simple to learn that the Mishnah is saying 2 different things. Dinei Mamanis Bishleisha Hedyaitis, that Dinei Mamanis is with 3 judges, that means Haidais and Halvais is with 3 commoners, you don't need Smuchin. Gezelos v'Chavalais b'Shleisha Mumchin. Well, you don't have to learn that it's Mohain Ketani. And furthermore, it's mashma that way, because if it was Mohain Ketani, you wouldn't have to say Shleisha 2 times, if it was talking about the same thing. V'Ait Shleisha Lamali, if it was talking both about Gezelos v'Chavalais, then why does it have to say 3 and 3? Ela Amarava Tarte Ketani. You're right. That's the correct pshat. It's telling you 2 things. It's telling you that Dinei Mamanis in general, in other words, Haidais and Alvais, that's with 3 Hedyaitis, and 3, you need 3 Smuchim for Gezelos and Chavolos. Mishum the Rav Chanina, in the name of Rav Chanina. Now you should know, in general, it's a good thing to know a rule in Shas. When it says Mishum, and it doesn't say simply that Rav Achbred, Rav Ika Amar, Rabbi Chanina, Mishum means that he had it, but he didn't have it directly from him. So Mishum the Rav Chanina, in the name of Rav Chanina, Rav Achbred, Rav Ika Amar, Midoraisa, biblically speaking, when it comes to Gezelos, when it comes to Haidais Valvais, when it comes to things like admissions and loans, Chad Nami Kasha. Even one judge would also be good. Even one judge would be good for a case of Alvais. Why? Shenema b'tzedek tishbait amisecha. With righteousness you should judge your friend, and it says tishbait, it doesn't say tishbatu. Says Tishbite. So really, even one judge is enough. You know what we're worried about? We're worried that maybe we would use somebody hanging around at the corners. You know, they'll grab somebody on the street that does, since you don't need a smuchen, they'll grab somebody on the street that, doesn't have much, business sense. Elamishum yoishvei kronis. The yoishvei kronis is the Shas terminology for an idle person. An idle person that doesn't have what to do. He sits on the corner because that's where the excitement is. He sees excitement from, all sides. So we're afraid that if you use one, you'll get stuck with a lemon. Says the Gemara. So even if you make it 3, you could get stuck with three poker players. Says the Gemara. If you get stuck with 3, is it not also possible that you'll have 3 duds, 3 lemons that won't know what's going on? Says the Gemara, if the 2 sides are agreeing on 3 people, it's not likely that they'll take all 3 that don't know anything. It's not likely. There'll be at least one that's going to know what's going on. Says the Gemara, but if you'll tell me that even 1 is enough, and you're using 3, but we said the din is unlike where smuchin make a decision, in the case where hadyotis make a decision, they're responsible to pay if they make a mistake. But if midaraisa, it's good even with 1, elamiata to lo yishalmu. If they make a mistake, they shouldn't have to reimburse. Says Gemara, no, because this is a safeguard that we shouldn't use dummies. Kol shekein, if that would be the case, kol shekein dinafisha yoishvei kronis. Then you might come to take people that don't know what they're talking about. But people won't be likely to get involved if they know that if they make a mistake, they're going to be, on the hook. So the Gemara now asks, well, my Ika, what's the difference? Just checking that I have all my systems going over here. I do, Baruch Hashem. My Ika, says the Gemara, and again, I made a very drastic change in the last few days that the shir is now not anymore on Facebook. It was a move to upgrade the kedusha of the shir. There seems to be no argument that Facebook is not a makam kedusha. So it was a decision which my wife encouraged me that maybe I shouldn't be giving any kind of a stamp of approval for someone to have Facebook. So therefore, we're not using. That's not a medium anymore for my shiurim. If you know anybody that used to be on Facebook, please urge them to join us on TorahAnytime.com, on Kol Haloshin. Irving, maybe if you could contact Richard. Richard, I know, was watching us on Facebook. That maybe you could give him a short tutorial on how to get us on other.
I already told Sandy Grunfeld already, so I told Richard also.
Oh, good, very good. Sandy is also a good person to tell. Thank you. Yeah, I miss Sandy very much. Sandy was a regular. Marshall, it's good to have you. So anyway, so now the Gemara says, "My ika bein Rava l'Rav Acha b'rei Ravika." What's the difference between Rava, who says that you need 3 hedyaitis, and Rav Acha b'rei Ravika that says biblically it's enough with 1? So the Gemara, at the end of the day, we say that you need 3. So what's the difference? Says the Gemara, Ike beinayu de Amar Shmuel. The difference is a statement of Shmuel's. Shmuel says, Shnayim shedonu dinei and din. If you did a judgment with two judges, the judgment is good. Ela shenikru bezdin chotzav. It's just called a chutzpah bezdin, but it's good. L'Rava Lesley, according to Rava, that says biblically you need 3, so then 2 would not be good. Rav Achaber Rav Ika Islay the Shmuel. Rav Achaber Ika holds him Shmuel because according to Rav Achaber Rav Ika, even 1 would be good biblically. 3 is only because of Gzeira that they might come to use Yoshvei Kronos, idle people. But if you did it already, it's okay. So surely 2 would be okay. Now the Mishnah says that you need 3 for nezek, for damages, and chatzi nezek, and half damages. So again, this seems to be rhetorical. Nezek, hainu chavalos. Nezek is wounds. That's what nezek is. You punch somebody in the face. That's nezek. So the Gemara says you're right. It only says it mishum de kabayla misna chatzi nezek. Since it wants to say half damages, tani nami nezek shalom. So the Gemara says, well, chatzi nezek nami hainu chavalos. So chatzi nezek, for example, if a shar gores somebody, that's also damages. So why does it have to say chatzi nezek? Why does it have to say it? It says Gemara, well, because chatzi nezek is a knas. So Tana Memoina, the Tana says a case of money, monetary payment, so Tana knas, and it says a case of a penalty. So the Gemara says, well, it's a machlokes whether chatzi nezek keren, chatzi nezek of the damage, unusual damage of a shor is a knas. Hani chalamani yamapal gniska knasa. That chatzi nezek is a knas. Elamani yamapal gniska mamayna, that chatzi nezek is mammon. So then why does it have to say it? Ma'i kalamema. And we welcome in royally Barry, who's joining us. Barry, it's great to have you. As we're 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Gimel Amud Aleph, and it is appropriate that Barry should come in when we're now going to be talking about all kinds of theft. Ella, says the Gemara, Ella, even if you say chatzi nezek is rhetorical because it's money, but it wants to say the cases of knas, of kefil and dalad v'hei, el-aidi the kaboyla misnei tashlumei kefil, the payment of double by theft, v'tashlumei arba v'chamisha, and the payment of 4 or 5, in the case where you steal and then sell or slaughter a sheep or an ox. The mammon, which is examples, the mammon she'ein mishtalim b'roishu, that's money where you don't pay the principal, right? You're paying something beyond the principal, either double or 4 or 5 times. So that's a knas. So tananami chatzi nezek the moment shein mishtalim b'roishu. It says also chatzi nezek where you're not paying the principal, paying the principal, and v'aidi, that it says the kabayla misnei chatzi nezek tani nami nezek. Aidi, the idea of aidi is the idea of symmetry in the Mishnayos. One of the ideas of symmetry is to help us remember it, to help us, because remember this was Torah Shebal Peh, so there were different groupings, right? And there was a grouping of nezek, chatzi nezek, kefil, and dalad v'hei. Now, says the Gemara 4 lines from the top of Gimel Amud Beis, as again we're excited to have all of you together here, and boy am I excited to be back. This is my first time of a double daf since I've gotten out of the hospital, and I want to thank Hashem that I feel that I'm able to do it with you.
We're happy to have you back too.
Thank you.
And what about me?
Thank you. Barry, it's wonderful to have you. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We are holding 4 lines from the top of Gimel Amud Beis. 4 lines.
So you put especially for Barry, huh?
4 lines.
For you.
Barry. What's your name?
Shlomo.
Samcha.
We welcome
Come on, my
Shlomo to the shir. Are you a resident here?
My sister, Zalman Zel.
Yeah.
He comes here.
Yeah.
He's my brother-in-law.
Okay, well, you're always welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so Shloisha Minala. The Mishnah says that you need 3 dayanim. How do you know 3? So the Tan Rabbanan, V'nikrav Balabayis Elho Elohim, and the Balabayis goes to the judge. Now, even though Elohim is it looks like a plural word, but here when it refers to a judge, it's a singular word. So V'nikrav Balabayis Elho Elohim, Harikan Echad, that's one judge. Adho Elohim Yavoy Dvar Shneim, to the judge they bring both of them, Harikan Shneim, that's 2. Asher Yarshiun Elohim, that the judge declares guilty, Harikan Shloisha. So that's how we know you need 3 judges. Elohim, by the way, means smuchin. Divrei Rabbi Yeshia, that's the opinion of Rabbi Yeshia. Rabbi Yonason says, no, the first one is not used because the first one is needed legufa for the text itself. So we can't learn. This is the famous opinion that you don't learn from Rishonais, from the first mention. Rabbi Yonason, I'm a Rishon Tchila Nemer. Ve'ein Dorshin Tchilas. We don't learn out a halacha from the first mention. Ela Ado Elohim Yavai Dvar Shneim, until the judge you bring the matter of both of them. Harikan Echad, that's one judge. Asher Yarshion Elohim Harikan Shneim, that's 2 judges. Ve'ein Bezdin Shakel, you can't have a equal number because then there would be a deadlock. You have to be able to have a majority. So Ma'asifan Alei and Oid Echad, you add a third one, Harikan Shloisha. So what's the machlokes over here between Rabbi Yonason and Rabbi Yeshia? What's the root of the machlokes? As we welcome in Abe Arbach, it's great to have you, Abe, as we are on Gimel Amid Beis, about 10 lines from the top. Nema b'darshin tchilas kamiflagi. Let's say that their argument is whether you could darshan the first mention. The Mar Sava darshin tchilas, Rabbi Yosha holds you could darshan the first time it says it. Or Mar Sava ain't darshin tchilas. Says no, that's not what the machlokes says. Like the Kulei Alma ain't darshin tchilas. Everybody holds that you don't mention the first pasuk. You don't expound it. So you only have 2 psukim. The Kulei Alma ain't darshin tchilas. So Amalach Rabbi Yosha. But Rabbi Yeshia will tell you, you know why I could dash in the first pasuk? Because it should have said El HaShofet. Why does it say El HaElohim? Im kein nema krav nikra balabayis El HaShofet. My El HaElohim, Shma Mina Leminyana. So that's coming to tell me that even the first pasuk counts as the number, so therefore you have 3. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, it doesn't say Shofet because Elohim is a lashon of the mumchin. Rabbi Yochanan lishna the almanaket, that is the normal vernacular of a mumchin. Kedamri inshe man de islay dina, one who has a judgment. Likarv legabe daina. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. Why does Rabbi Yochanan need 3 psukim? He doesn't hold that you have to have a majority. He doesn't hold that it can't be even. Rabbi Yeshia Yelesle Bezdin Naita. He doesn't hold that you have to have a Bezdin that you could incline to a majority. He doesn't hold that you have to have an uneven number. But Tanya, Rabbi Lazar ben Aisha, Rabbi Yisrael Glili Aimer, Mat Talmud Laimer, what do we learn out from the pasuk? Lim tois achrei rabim lahatais, that you should incline to the majority. HaTorah Amra, the Torah is mandating Asi Lacha Bezdin Naita. You should make a Bezdin that you could have a majority. It has to be an odd number. So why does Rabbi Yeshia need 3 psukim? 2 should be enough, and it can't have 2 because then it would be an even number. He doesn't hold of that. Says the Gemara, well, we'll say that Rabbi Yeshia Savala to Rabbi Yehuda. We'll say that Rabbi Yeshia holds like Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar Shivin. Rabbi Yeshia, remember, even though we said that a Sanhedrin Agadol was 71, Rabbi Yeshua holds that the Sanhedrin is 70. Rabbi Yehuda holds the Sanhedrin is 70. 70 is an equal number, 35 and 35. So Rabbi Yeshua holds like Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanan, Sanhedrin G'dayla, he says Shalshivim Be'echad. Rabbi Yehuda Imeshivim. Rabbi Yehuda says 70. So the Gemara says, nah. Just because Rabbi Yehuda says the Sanhedrin Agadol is 70, he doesn't hold that you don't need, by a regular Bezdin, an odd number. And I just want to take out the moment to greet Gedalia. Gedalia, you were very missed over Shabbos, and it's great to have you. Gedalia, by the way, in case you need a ride, we could have people that could give you a ride. We have people. Baruch Hashem, we're working on
I'll take them up, no problem.
Gedalia, we're really working on having a strong oilam here in the shul, so whenever you can. Baruch Hashem, already even on the Motzei Shabbos, we have 500,000 here, which is very good. So anyway, the Gemara says, the fact that Rabbi Yehuda says 70 by Sanhedrin Hagadol, that's an exception. Eimer the Shamslei, the Rabbi Yehuda b'Sanhedrin Gedayla, by the Sanhedrin Gadol d'chsivei Kroi. There it says Isvali Shivamish. So that's Exeris HaKasa. But b'Shabei Dina Mishamatle, does he hold that you don't need to have an odd number by other Bezdins? The Chitema, you'll say, no, he Loishna. He holds by other Bezdins, you could also have an equal number. It's not true. But Tanan, Smicha Zakanim, remember we said, when we learned the Mishnah, Smicha Zakanim means that the Smicha that the Zakanim do on the Par Helam Davishal Tzibur, in the case where Bezdin made a wrong psak, and Klal Yisrael did an Issachar, Varifas Eglan, the breaking of the heifer's neck, B'shloisha Divrei Reb Shimon, Rabbi Yehuda B'chamisha. Rabbi Yehuda says you need 3 judges. Rabbi Yehuda says you need 5 judges. V'amrinon, my time with Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reason that Rabbi Yehuda holds you need 5 judges? Because it says B'samchu in the plural, that's Shnayim, and then it says Ziknei, judges, that's elders, that's Shnayim, that's 4. Ve'ein Bezdin Shakal. You can't have an equal number. So you see that even Rabbi Yehuda holds that normally you can't have an even Bezdin. So Gemara says, okay, so Rabbi Yeshua will hold more than Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yeshua, adifim with Rabbi Yehuda. Dilu Rabbi Yehuda, b'Sanhedrin Gedayla, the less like he doesn't hold of lintais to have an odd number by Sanhedrin Gedayla. Habashar Beidin Islay, by other Bezdin he holds you have to have an odd number. Rabbi Yeshua b'Shar Beidin Anami Leslay. I said, then what does Rabbi Yeshua do with lintais? That you need a Bezdin that you could have a majority, that you could decide, you could incline to the majority. Ve'alahai lintais my avidlay. He'll hold that that's talking about only capital punishment. Mukim labedine nefashis. Yeah, in a capital punishment, in the Bezdin of 23, there you need to be able to have a majority. Aval bedine mammon is light, but not by monetary matters. Says the Gemara, El hadit nan shnayim oimim zakai ve'echad amar chayiv. If 2 say innocent and 1 say guilty, zakai, it's innocent. Shnayim oimim chayiv. If 2 say guilty ve'echad amar zakai and 1 says innocent chayiv. So you see that we go bust to the majority, and nobody argues on that. If he doesn't dash in lintais, how does he know it? Are you going to say Neima the like Rabbi Yeshua? Are you going to say that this rule is not like Rabbi Yeshua? No. Afilu Tamer Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua holds by monetary matters, you also go after the majority. But he learns it out not from a pasuk, not from lintais. He learns it out from a kal v'chomer. Ma'isila b'kal v'chomer medina nefashis. A 40 ori, kal v'chomer, fancy word for that, is 40 ori.
A 40 ori, yeah. Interesting word.
You're saying I'm pronouncing it wrong.
A 40 ori.
Not a. Is the a part of the word?
It's a 40 ori. It's like 2 parts.
Yeah? A is part of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was a 40 ori.
So, just a matter of how you pronounce
It's
it.
a fortiori? Is that based on Latin?
Nobody hears it pronounced very often, so nobody knows how to say it. People just read it.
It's very interesting if that's the case.
We always called it a Magach.
A fortiori.
A
A fortiori.
It's a fortiori, yeah, that I heard, okay.
Okay.
But it's two before, okay.
A fortiori.
A fortiori.
That's what I thought. But he's saying that it's a fortiori. But okay. Is that based on Latin?
It is a Latin word for
It's
sure.
Latin. Okay.
A posteriori.
Okay.
Speak English in this
Yeah,
year?
yeah, okay, okay. We have some people that are, a little bit, you know what I mean.
Say it in pig Latin. It's
You know something? He's right. If we're going to do it already, let's do it the right way. Do it already. Let's do it the right way. And Barry says that's called a madach. So
Here the proper pronunciation.
yeah, okay, okay. Anyway, so we'll learn it out from a Kal V'Chaimer. What's the Kal V'Chaimer? The Kal V'Chaimer is simple. That if by Dinei Nefashis, Ma Dinei Nefashis, the Chamire, somebody's life is at stake, yet we go according to the majority, Amar Achmana, Zilba, Saruba, Dinei Mominus, by financial matters like Kolshner, we surely should go according to the majority.
What's the alternative?
Huh?
What's the alternative? You say you
Well,
need
no, well, maybe we need a universal decision. Maybe we need, if they don't come up with a universal decision, we have to do it again. We have to.
If the majority is good
Right.
enough, the threshold, the majority should be good enough to be the Romanos.
Well, that's the Kal V'Chaimer. That's what we just said.
And that's the problem.
Makes
Now.
sense.
Okay, Tanu Rabbanan. 2 lines from the beginning of the wide lines, just getting underway over here on a beautiful Motzei Shabbos with such a beautiful Eilam. Even Barry,
Okay.
even Marshall.
I'm with Barry.
Tanu Rabbanan. Tanu Rabbanan. Dinei Mamanis B'Shleisha. Financial matters are 3. Rabbi Omer B'Chamisha. Rabbi says you need 5. Why? Kidei she Yigmar Hadin B'Shleisha. In order that they should reach a decision with 3. Says Gemara, I don't understand. Even if you have 3, you could reach a decision when it's 2 against 1. Says the Gemara, no. He holds that you need to have 3 giving the verdict. You need to have 3 agreeing on the verdict. So therefore, you have to have 5. So that way, at least 3 will agree to the verdict. That's what the Gemara suggests. Because the issuing verdict has to be with 3 judges in agreement. Says the Gemara, Almat Kasava, does that mean that Rebbe's opinion is Tlasa Ki Ksive, that when it says 3, Bigmar Dina Ksive, that you need 3 to be in agreement of the verdict? Megadif Bar Rabbi Avo. Rabbi Avo cursed about this. That can't be pshat. Because if that's the case, Elamiyata te Sanhedrin Gedayle Tzricha, if you need 71 for the Sanhedrin Hagadol, then you should have to have at least Me'av Arba'am Ve'echad. You have to have 141 judges, so that the decision should be with 71 judges. Kedei she'yimra adin b'shivim ve'echad. Utei Sanhedrin Ketana, the small Supreme Court of 23, should be at least 45. You should have at least 45 people, so that the agreeing verdict should be with 23. But that's for sure not true. Because Hashem said, gather for me 70 people. It doesn't have to be at the time of the decision 70. It has to be at the time of the gathering, at the time of the makeup of the court 70. Where we learned out the Eidah judges and the Eidah saves, Shvitas Ha'eda. It's at the time of judgment, not at the time of the decision. And Hachanami v'nikra balabayis elo Elohim. The balabayis goes to the judge. Mishas kriva shloisha. You need 3 at the time when it starts, not at the time of the verdict. So why? So why does Rebbe hold 5? Elahainu taima the Rebbe asher yarshion Elohim trei. It says asher yarshion Elohim. Yarshion is plural. So that's 2. And he says nemer Elohim lamata. It says Elohim below. V'nemer Elohim lamala. Ma lamata shnayim. So af Elohim lamala, the Elohim that it says before is also shnayim. So that's 4. The aim bezdin shakel. You don't have a bezdin of 4. Moisifan alein oid echad harikan kamisha. So that's how he has 5. Rabbanan say that it's written in the Torah Yarshion defective without the vav, so it's not plural. Rabbanan Yarshion ksiv, and therefore it's not explained in the plural. We're just going to pause a moment, Rabbi Isai, to change over the channel over